Well, hey there, it's Tuesday, so it's Blended Family Tuesday. Today, I wanted to chat with you about a little bit about positive parenting. I know you've probably heard me chat in other videos about my adherence to positive parenting and theories and concepts to do with attachment parenting. I just went really deep into learning as much as possible about those things when the girls were really little so that I could be the best mom. What's interesting to note is some of my favorite bloggers that used to write about that, as their kids got older, they found that their children needed them more, and so they stopped blogging. So a lot of the great people that I'd love to recommend for you to go out there and follow aren't around anymore and actively posting out there where you can read their nuggets of wisdom. So today I just wanted to share with you 3 little simple things that help me get through the terrible twos. My littlest is going to be 7 on the 11th. And so we don't really have too many of the just losing your mind and just going into fit mode or situations like that anymore. And we really didn't have that many, and I think it had a lot to do with the way that I handled them. And so I wanted to share with you, like I said, 3 little tips that I've kept in my pocket to help me through those early days of managing mama life with 2 little baby girls. The number one tool that I always used when the girls were just really upset, maybe something had happened to them, maybe they got hurt, maybe they're upset because they're not getting something that they want, or you don't even have a clue what's going on, you know, they've just lost their mind for some reason and they're freaking out and they're crying and, you know, it just seems like completely uncontrollable. The number one thing that I always used to say to the girls was, take a deep breath. Okay, now take another deep breath. And they got so used to me saying it that the very youngest, she would prompt me after the second time. She'd say, and another, and another, but that was a way to get them focused on something else. And also, just like for grown-ups, taking deep breaths resets where you're at. You know, it allows a break in the emotion string that's going on. It gives them a chance to get back to themselves, and it gets them distracted for a minute. And so it's a twofold kind of thing. It distracts them, kind of gets them to reset themselves. And you might have somebody, and I'm sure there's somebody out there that's got someone so unmanageable in their life that you're like, there's no way that would ever work for one of my children. But trust me, I can honestly say that I've even been out with other people's children or had somebody else's child here, and they start losing their mind for some reason. Like I said, they got hurt, they're not getting something that they want, or it's just a random fit out of nowhere. Getting them to take a deep breath and focus on looking at you and focus on hearing the words take a deep breath is a great way to stabilize the situation and get the child kind of redirected to another stream of emotions, because that's what young children are all about. They're like so awesome like that. So the second thing that I always kept in my pocket, you know, because thing that I read a lot about in natural parenting and attachment parenting books was about you know, not things that our parents said to us, like, you know, you fall and you get hurt. You know, my parents would have been like, well, that's what you get. You should have known better. And not that that's not, you know, not that that made them bad parents or anything like that, but there's obviously a better way that we could say that. And so before the girls could even really talk good, something that I worked into their vocabulary was natural consequences. And like I said, before they could say very many words, they could say natural consequences, because if I told them no once, and I told them no twice and they went ahead and did it, then that's natural consequences. I don't have to instill any consequence for them, because whatever happened to them, because usually they fall or they bump themselves or it didn't go as planned and it upsets them anyway, they get the consequence out of the situation. And I remember growing up, not with just me, but you know, it's like you get hurt, well, most of the time you're gonna get your butt whipped too, you know. And that's a lot of times when I was a kid, if I got hurt, I just would never say anything, because I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing what I did to get hurt. And why am I gonna go get in trouble in addition to that, you know, being hurt? Why am I going to go get in trouble for that? I'm just not going to say anything. So to have a better line of communication with the girls, it's always been natural consequences. And because that does apply, and a lot of times when you're down on your luck, like you've skinned your knee or you've ran down the stairs for the millionth time and fell for the millionth time, being told I told you so or this, that, and another doesn't feel good, but natural consequences is something that we all get. And so that's when you might try out. You know, if you've told your little one this a million times not to do something, next time they do it and the next time they get hurt, just say, well, there you got it. You got your own natural consequences. You set yourself up. I don't even have to deal with it for you. And a lot of times, even as I've learned to become a mom to teens, it's kind of the same thing. You know, we can give them consequences and punishments, groundings, and all that, but a lot of times the choices that they make are going to provide them the consequences that is kind of deserving of the situation. And so that's something you might think about, is looking at times that you could get your children to reflect on the fact that you don't need to punish them, you don't need to instill any type of consequence, you don't need to discipline them in any way over that particular thing, because that situation they did it to themselves. They gave themselves the consequence through making that choice. Here's another one. Here's an example that's not outside, that's not like with a little kid. One of our sons, he will pull up in front of the house on his bike, come in, mean to go hit the garage button, but won't. So if it wasn't for these days of backup cameras, he'd have lost that bike more than once. Well, if that bike gets run over, that's natural consequences. I don't have to go and ground him and go crazy and yell or do any of that stuff, because he doesn't have a bike anymore. That's his consequence. So that's a natural consequence. Now, the third thing that really helped me is not so much just like the saying of, you know, teaching a kid to use their words, but more like giving them words, and not just, and it didn't just work for them, you know. So an example of giving them words is, you know how sometimes a little one will get to playing with a toy and it won't work for how they want it to work, and they're just getting more mad, and then they start beating the toy on the ground. Well, an example of giving them words is, hey, little Susie, it looks like you're frustrated. So by using a word like that, then it gives her a word to label how she's feeling. And the next part of the conversation would be like, it's okay to be frustrated, but it's not going to help right now to beat that toy on the ground. It's just going to break it, and start setting up the conversation to move into another situation. And it's been helpful for me as a grown-up, because it's helped me label my emotions as well. So instead of sometimes just spewing out all the things that I think is wrong, I can say, I'm frustrated right now. And so then I could say something simple like that, and because my children already knew what it felt like for them to be frustrated, it was easy for them to be like, oh, I know what's going on with her right now. She is having a tough time. This is where she's at. And something that's been really helpful for me and the girls there was, you know, always giving them words of observation that they could use to label the feelings that they were having, so that sometimes they could start to learn to communicate better. And it's really been awesome, and the girls have always had a huge vocabulary, probably because of me giving them so many words. But like I said, that's 3 things that I just wanted to share with you, kind of attachment parenting, positive parenting, umbrella type things there. One was take a deep breath, take another one, take another one. That's a tool that you can use to help get even yourself sometimes calm down, but really helpful for a little one who's just really losing their mind at any given time. And the second one is the phrase, the idea, and the concept of natural consequences. And the third one is giving them words that they can use to label their emotions by observing what they're doing and applying a word to what's going on. Like, seems like you're frustrated. So I hope that's helpful to you, and I hope you have the best day ever.